Greetings and welcome to take two of episode 226 of the Words About Gamescast, a weekly video game podcast for words about games. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, and I am joined this week by the glorious one himself, Mr. Daffin Mark Mooney, the champ, according to his t-shirt, the brand new PC owner. How you doing?
The brand new PC owner indeed. Howdy doodle do, ladies and gentlemen. I have a brand new PC. She is beautiful. Looking for new names. Help me out.
Would you consider your brand new PC to be glorious?
Some might call it glorious indeed. No doubt about it, Amy.
If I wasn't already wearing glasses, I would have put the shades on. And I would have told my Google device to play the song.
To say something, yeah. We don't want to have that conversation again because our devices might go on. We don't.
No, yeah. We had a so we've basically we're doing this intro for the second time. The first time we did it, we spent the first few minutes of the podcast talking about our Google and Alexa devices, and I told a funny story about my friend and penguin dances. That unfortunately will be lost to time because you wouldn't have been able to hear what I was saying anyway, because Windows 10 decided to automatically turn my microphone down to the point where you could only hear Moody, which I'm sure he hasn't got a problem with.
No, like, I am pretty loud, ladies and gentlemen. I have to admit that.
It's true.
Sometimes I just dwarf people's volumes.
It's fine. Well, we actually saw each other in person this week. And you were one of the few people who I've seen during this whole climate of mask wearing, like where it's still really easy to hear what you're saying, even when you're wearing a face mask and standing like 2 meters away from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some people, like, they don't mumble when they talk, but they talk really quietly, normally. And then when you put like the thing in front of their face, and you go, what?
Yeah, something like that. Me, like I say, I'm already loud, so I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm always helping people by putting the mask on. Or not only just truly helping people, as we all know, as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, wear your goddamn mask, but I am helping people's eardrums by they survive a little bit longer, but yet they can still hear me. But if anyone else puts a mask on, everyone goes like normal for me, and then it's just like,
yeah.
I'm just like,
it's like the opposite effect, right?
Yeah,
it's like you're just by putting the mask on, you're just bringing your volume down to normal human levels.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love about doing a second take of a podcast. We had an entirely different discussion about an entirely different thing. Masks. But this isn't a COVID-19 podcast, Moody. This is the Words About Gamescast. Every single week we discuss what's going on in gaming, the games industry, and gaming culture. In this week's episode, we discuss some of the changes to words about games, including explaining why you're getting this podcast on a Friday, in case you're all wondering. Why this went up before 4 days early. It's not early.
It's not.
We'll also discuss Cyberpunk developer CD Projekt Red forcing mandatory overtime on employees, Warner Brothers Interactive president's opinion on J.K. Rowling, and more.
Do you need to take a deep breath there?
I'm just taking a breath. It was like I was trying to stifle a cough, a burp, and breathe all at the same time. It was the trifecta. It's like, oh, Moody, I love doing this podcast. Then, after we talk about that, we'll go over all the new game announcements from the past week. We'll give you a content drop where we recommend some articles you should read and some videos you should watch. We'll tell you what games are coming out next week before playing OpenCritic head-to-head, where we guess the OpenCritic average of one upcoming game. And as always, we'll wrap things up with a post-show discussion and a chat about whatever's on our minds. Which might not happen. There are timestamps in the description below the video on YouTube, so you can click around, watch specific parts of the podcast, maybe only sections that you want to watch or discussions that you want to watch. You can watch the podcast in any order. You can even watch it backwards. We don't mind. We're just happy that you're here.
Yeah, as long as you're here, ladies and gentlemen, enjoying the meaningful conversations, that's all that matters.
This would probably be a shorter podcast anyway, because obviously we did one on Monday, and now we're doing one on the Friday, so there's less time between the two podcasts, which is the only time that's going to happen. And most of the news stories I put in here, I'm not going to lie, we can cut them. They're filler at best. I was just looking to fill the time out. And it's, you know what? If this is a shorter podcast, this is a shorter podcast, so be it. Because this podcast will now go live on Fridays. That's right. First news story, it's about us. We're going to spend some time talking about us. We're changing some stuff up here at Words About Games, and we're going to explain it all like we just did. But no one will ever see it. And I'm just looking across to make sure my thing's still moving in the right direction. I'm wanting you, Windows. It's like, what? You doing a podcast on a Thursday? No, I can't allow this. So we're making some changes. There's two major headline changes followed by a few smaller changes. The first of the major headline changes is this podcast will go live on Fridays. The day's changing, but the podcast isn't changing. As you probably just guessed by the intro that I just did. Literally everything that we do in the podcast normally, we're still going to do, right? Like, we're still going to do news, content drops, OpenCritic head-to-heads, all the other stuff that I just said that I've forgotten. You think I've done this podcast for years. We're going to change the name to the Words About Games podcast because Words About Gamescast is probably too clever for us. And also, Words About Gamescast sounds like a podcast where you would talk about games, not news. And it might get confusing when we talk about item 2. Which is, we're launching a new podcast, which will take the time slot of this podcast. We haven't thought of a name of it.
Words About Reviews?
Yeah, probably.
I literally that just came out of my head and just like, yeah.
No, bin that one.
Veto that one.
I'm gonna veto that one. We've come up with this idea to do a podcast, and then we've come up with all the ideas for it, and we know exactly what we're gonna do and how it's gonna look and how it's gonna work and how it's gonna flow, and then we realized late Tuesday night, I think it was, I messaged you. I was like, "What are we gonna call this?" And then we both had that sudden realization that we'd forgotten to name it. So, name is TBD. We're probably going to have a good talk about that over the weekend. But it will launch starting this Monday, and it's going to focus on review discussions of video games. It's going to replace the review impressions videos and all the other types of videos I do, for games coverage. So it's going to replace all the previews, all the demos and early access games that I play and make videos about, all the 4,000 word essays I write about things like Marvel's Avengers and my weird Other Side experience. It's going to replace probably some other stuff that, again, other types of ways I've done to cover videos where I play a level of a game and talk over it. Those never felt right. I'm not a Let's Player, Moody. I'm just not. Like, I can't concentrate on playing a game and talking about a game at the same time. I can play a game and talk nonsense. That's why, I'm okay at doing Twitch. Absolute bollocks comes out of my mouth. That's fine. But when I actually have to say things that make sense and are about a specific topic, that's when it's like, nah, I can't do that. So how this new podcast, that's fine. It's late because obviously we're doing this again. How this new podcast is going to work is new games are going to take priority. It'll probably most weeks be myself and Moody again talking about games, new releases that have just come out. But then we'll also talk about other games. Maybe we're catching up on a backlog of games that came out earlier in the year that we didn't get a chance to play. Or sometimes we'll be talking about maybe Apex, maybe Avengers, like live service games that we play, or just games that we're continuing to play. Like, I'll probably talk a little bit about Wasteland 3 because I'm about to finish it. Like, I'm gonna finish it this weekend, and I've been really enjoying it. And yeah, it's just gonna be a wide-ranging discussion about video games that's gonna replace our reviews. Which, I mean, do you want to talk about the reasoning behind why we're doing this a bit?
The reason it obviously is to help you out more than anything. You were staying up incredibly late, writing up essays, editing the videos, audio, doing the videos, and all like that. It obviously doesn't help you in whatsoever. But on my behalf, like I've struggled, like you may have talked multiple times, of like I've struggled to play games, on new games in general, and I've built up a bit of a backlog of just this year games this year in general, which is a bit annoying. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm just either playing on my Switch, playing Pokemon Sword or Shield, or Let's Go, or I'm playing F1. Like I've got Marvel's Avengers in my console right now, and I haven't even touched it right now. I've got Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 4, still cracking under that, but it's a I've got other things. Even though I'm a busy person, I've got other things in my life, obviously with college and everything like that. This is going to be with how my schedule is with college. This frees me up perfectly, where I can take Friday. I can take a Friday or a Saturday or even a Sunday now to have a good old day of smashing a game.
Cool.
Just getting a good thoughts. Play a game for like 4 to 8 hours, getting a good conversation in my head, and knowing what I want to talk about and have a good opinion of it and everything. And that's basically what's going to help me out. Like I say, the next one, our first episode is going to be about the Star Wars Squadrons. Yeah, I thought it was something else before Squadrons, but yeah, Squadrons. And we're both going to be playing that. We got it on the way, and we can give a good opinion.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be positive. We want to be positive for this game, even though EA haven't done the greatest when it comes to Star Wars, but we still want to be positive about Star Wars. We do love Star Wars. So.
Yeah, and games in general. Like
Mm-hmm.
so like each episode will probably have like a main game, like a main topic, or like depending on how busy a release schedule week is, maybe multiple like sort of main topics.
Yeah.
And whereas like the Monday one will probably be Star Wars because that's the game we're both gonna play. Maybe I'll talk about some of the new Mario game that's come out recently as well if I get around to playing that. But like, I'm really excited. Like when we're doing this change in part. It's driven by both of us. Like it's not one person telling the other person this is how we're going to do things. I think we've both come up with this idea equally, and this is how we want to do things. But it was driven by me needing a change in terms of how I do games coverage, because like talking about games is the reason I started this YouTube channel, which I started a blog, which evolved into the YouTube channel and the Twitch channel, and it's going to allow me to talk about more games and to talk more about games, rather than the situations I was finding myself in, like trying to hit the Wasteland 3 embargo, so I'd stop playing the game, and then it was like trying to get the video put together like in the early hours of Tuesday morning because I couldn't do it on the Tuesday daytime, and the embargo was like I think in the afternoon, the Tuesday afternoon, so I haven't like worked through that, and then rolling on to the next one and then the next one, and it's like there'd be weeks sometimes where I wouldn't get to play a game because I was too busy making videos about the games, and that seems like a really ridiculous situation to be in as someone who has a YouTube gaming channel. And eventually it's just like having you here to be able to facilitate a change like this, as well. Like I don't think I could have made a change like this before you got here, like with any like, and this isn't me talking shit about any of the people who've been on this podcast or helping me on Words About Games previously. I just think like we couldn't have started and sustained a podcast like this until you arrived. So this is all your fault, basically.
I'll take the blame. It's all right. Like I've said, ultimately, that this podcast has helped me in general, just to relax and everything. Even though we've had some topics that have been a real pain in the ass to talk about, Ubisoft. But I still enjoy the discussions we have and everything like that, and they're important discussions to talk about. But like, I mostly I come in and I chill and relax when I'm talking.
Yeah.
Talking about these stories of video game with you, Amy. And like, and as now we're going to be separating it into a proper part where we can literally just talk about the games we've played. Say, oh, I think this is a game I think you'll really like, ladies and gentlemen. Go and check it out and everything like that. Or we can literally just say, this is games in Game Pass. I really enjoyed it, but it's there in Game Pass, it's a perfect thing to give it a try. But if you blah blah and all like that, it's like we're gonna give you.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about what
Or
we're
this
gonna
game
do.
isn't great, or this game isn't for me,
Mhm.
or like the wide spectrum of potential sort of
Subjectivity.
the wide of potential opinions about a video
Yeah,
game, right? But like,
yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's not gonna it's gonna change it in terms of the format of how like I talk about games. But it's not going to change that much because I'm still going to do all of the same things where I sit down and play a game, capturing footage, and I'm making notes as I'm going because I don't want to forget like thoughts or ideas or anything I've had. Except instead of then stopping the game to sit down and spend days writing a script, recording the script, editing the footage into the script, uploading it, and then it's just going to be like cool. Once I've got the notes down, like I can keep playing the game and keep making more notes and keep playing more notes and footage and more. You know what I mean? Or move on to another game. So like I'm really excited to do this because it's a change I think I've needed probably all year. Like I think if furlough hadn't have happened and lockdown hadn't have happened and I hadn't had like 4 months of like total free time, like to do to keep working on videos and keep the videos coming, like this probably would have happened sooner in the year. Like, because I feel like I was reaching that point at the beginning of the year where I was like, I need to make a change in how I talk about games. And then we would have had that discussion in like say March, and then we would have done it over the summer. But this is the perfect time to do this because lots of games are about to come out.
I know there's two big boxes turning up. I don't know what they're called though.
Yeah, one of them's turning up to my house. It's really crazy. Like,
Yeah, apparently, yeah. It looks like a
we'll be able to do a
Wi-Fi
whole
hub in it.
we'll be able to do a
Looks
whole
like a
podcast about my new Wi-Fi router that
yeah, it
also
looks like
plays
a
video
router.
games.
Yeah. Sadly, none of us have bought the fridge, so we can't
No,
do anything about that.
not
On this,
yet.
so.
I will though.
One day, yeah.
So we don't know what we're calling it, but it will be coming out this
Words
Monday.
spelled bits.
No, we will be coming out this Monday.
I'm literally just throwing out words.
And then every Monday after that. So every Monday you'll get this new review show. Every Friday you'll get this podcast. Both podcasts will start going live as audio podcasts. I used to do this a long time ago. When we first started the podcast, it was just an audio podcast actually. We only started doing video like a year in. But like I've got my glorious co-host of his own glorious movie show podcast. He'll be able to help me get through this minefield of getting this podcast up on iTunes, Spotify, and all the rest of it.
Well, if I can do it, anyone can do it. That's all I'll say.
Hopefully that will start this Monday. So hopefully the first episode of this new review show will go up. It'll all be on the same. The two podcasts will all be on the same feed because I'm not made of money. But I'm not going to be backdating the podcast, the episodes of this podcast. So it'll be episode 227. We'll start from on the feed on the audio thing, and it means people can listen to the podcast wherever they're comfortable. Because I assumed that video was the future of podcasts, but it turns out from speaking to most normal people, or like most of the people that I know, that a lot of people just listen to podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure.
Mm-hmm. That's why I do it. That's why mine is literally just audio. Don't do video at all anymore.
I've only just recently started listening to podcasts. Like I don't normally watch them, but apparently it's options, right? It's the thing we've been talking about all year about what Microsoft's doing really well, giving people all of the options and letting them choose. And that's where I'm at with this podcast. I'm going to give you all the options and let you choose how you want to interact with it. Please interact with it. I don't want to destroy my YouTube channel. I'm hoping this isn't a terrible mistake.
It'll be fine.
I don't care either way, to be honest. I just make the content without worrying about people listening to it. That's what I'm thinking. That's where I'm at. Make the best content I can make. We'll have a new logo, which I'm currently in the process of making. I'm terrible at making logos, so we'll see how that turns out. I'll be making new overlays for all of the podcasts. So each type of video will have its own color. They'll all be color coded. We'll also be starting a new show soon, coming on Wednesdays, called Indie Game Spotlight, which is basically exactly the same as Indie Game of the Weeks that I currently do on Fridays, but there'll be multiple games per video. So it's just going to be me watching a bunch of indie game trailers, reading a bunch of indie game store descriptions, and leaving links in the description below the video on YouTube to go and wishlist them, because there'll be games that aren't out yet. That one won't be going in the podcast feed because it'd be weird to listen to a video game trailer, I'd imagine. And content that's continuing, discussion videos, so things like spoiler casts will still be their own thing. Other types of discussions that we have where we just come up with a topic and we just discuss it. Fantasy Game League will still be a thing, although obviously the last episode of 2020 happened a couple of weeks ago, so that'll be next year. Things like predictions videos and stuff, things like E3 videos, maybe streaming highlights. I haven't decided on that one yet. Retrospective reviews are still a thing I want to keep doing going forward because they're really fun to do, and will be the only writing I will do for this entire channel now, which is great because I was getting sick of it, I'm not gonna lie.
The thing is, they were arguably your best content. No offense to the other content, they really were. Like, you put a lot into it. Like, a Mass Effect Andromeda review is really canny. Your Resident Evil 3 one's really good as well. So, like, I think doing full in-depth ones are some of your shining content, personally.
It's one of the changes I'm hoping is a benefit in terms of discussing things, where it's like, because I was trying, you try to keep a video to a certain length. So it was a word count, and then it would be like, cool, I need to hit, in terms of like, there is no word count limit in retrospective reviews. I just write as much as I need to write. But in a review impressions video, trying to be concise meant sometimes being surface level in terms of talking about specific things, or focusing only on specific things and missing out other things, purely just to keep things short. And then I know what you're saying. Well, why don't you just make them longer? Because I didn't have all the time in the world. Like the word count, it was there to stop me from spending like 3 weeks making a video on one game, which I can do with retrospective reviews, but with impressions, it was like, no, because I need to move on to the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. And the idea behind doing a discussions podcast means that I can do that and not screw myself all my content by, you get it, by going too quickly, basically. I think the speed with which I want to work at versus how hard I can work, which is very hard. Like, I'm not saying I'm suddenly going to get lazy, versus like the discussions format is like the perfect balance. Whereas before it was like the speed I was working at was faster than how hard I could work. And how fast I could put content out. We're also going to relaunch Friendly Debates sometime. We have a whole new format and a whole new idea, and we've been planning it for months, and we just need to actually sit down and do it.
Sometime in the future.
Hopefully not, 3 years from now or something.
Well, that'll only be December, so it's all right.
Okay, let's move on to the actual news. I've got a lot here, but I'm just going to warn you now, Moody. We're probably only going to do 2 or 3 of these. There wasn't that much news, considering we just did this. Like, the idea of doing this episode this Friday when we just put one out on Monday was to switch everything over to the new schedule now, rather than wait nearly 2 weeks to get another episode of the podcast out and have a ridiculous backlog of news that we had to try and get through. So this won't take long. News story number 1. Cyberpunk 2077 publisher orders 6 day weeks ahead of launch. This is from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. Haven't heard from him for a while. We mustn't have heard from him for a while because I still have all my free articles at Bloomberg. Who writes? Polish video game developer CD Projekt Red told employees on Monday that 6-day work weeks will be mandatory leading up to the November release of the highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077, reneging on an earlier promise to not force overtime on the project. Red, a subsidiary of Poland's biggest gaming company, CD Projekt SA, has been criticised previously for engaging in crunch, an industry term for excessive overtime in game development. The practice often lasts for weeks and can stretch out for months or even years. CD Projekt Red co-chief executive officer Marcin Nowinski last year told gaming website Kotaku that the company would be avoiding mandatory crunch and was committed to allowing employees to work without overtime. But an account from a CD Projekt Red employee recently, as well as an email to staff earlier this week, indicate that the company hasn't lived up to its word. The employee, who asked not to be named discussing private information, said some staff had already been putting in nights and weekends for more than a year. In the email, CD Projekt Red studio head Adam Podolsky wrote that he was optimistic about the state of Cyberpunk 2077, which stars Keanu Reeves, and that they'd just sent the game to be certified for release on Sony's PlayStation and Microsoft's Xbox. Now, he wrote, it was time to fix the game's many lingering bugs and glitches. Quote, starting today, the entire development studio is in overdrive, Podolsky wrote, elaborating that this meant your typical amount of work and 1 day of the weekend. The extra work would be paid as required by Polish labor laws. Many other video game studios don't pay overtime. Quote, I take it upon myself to receive the full backlash for the decision. I know this is in direct opposition to what we said about crunch. It's also in direct opposition to what I personally grew to believe a while back, that crunch should never be the answer, but we've extended all other possible means of navigating the situation, end quote. In a post on Twitter on Wednesday, Podolsky said CD Projekt employees can continue to count on bonus payments amounting to 10% of the company's annual profit. This could prove to be a lucrative sum, as analysts estimate the Warsaw-based company net income will rise 11-fold to $520 million in 2020. CD Projekt had 1,079 employees at the end of June. Do we need the rest of this?
I don't think so. Cyberpunk launches on November 19th.
Yeah. CD Projekt's financial officer, Piotr Nilubowicz, responded to Bloomberg questions in an email stating that Cyberpunk's November 19th launch date won't be changed, adding that the studio is working to eliminate most bugs at the last straight. The main reason it asked employees to work an extra day. The shares fell 3%. Last year, Iwinski and Podolsky told Kotaku they were looking to make CD Projekt Red a more humane place to work. Quote, we are known for treating gamers with respect. I actually would like for us to be also known for treating developers with respect, end quote. Discuss.
Well, this is obviously incredibly annoying. This is very upsetting. Isn't there a quote that says that they've double checked, like they've tried all avenues. You haven't tried all of them, because if you know there's one final avenue, and there's one final avenue, you just don't want to do it, because I understand to a certain point of view that you don't want to upset the fans, but I also understand that you want to get this game out to basically launch with the brand new consoles that are coming out, PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X/S. I can understand, I really do, that the amount of money what you will probably get from that, from if you say delay till 2021, say March, will be, I can guarantee you right now, Liz, they would have earned more from launching now than if they pushed it to March. I can understand that, I can appreciate that. You still should have delayed this. You've gone against your word. Yes, fair play to the man. He's come out and he knows he's going to get the backlash for this. I respect that for that. But at the same time, you've gone against your word of crunch. Okay, you've made some things that are a little bit of sugar on top of the crap here, basically, because you're giving them bonuses of amount of about 10%, which could be very lucrative to all the staff and everything. But on top of that, if that was the only thing, that is fine. But starting at the beginning, it shows that you've been crunching from the beginning of the year, which you said you weren't doing, which you said you wouldn't do.
No. Non-mandatory crunch, which as we all know is completely optional, and anyone can just not do it if they want, because the people who's and I'm just gonna say it because I was being very sarcastic there, because there's no such thing as non-mandatory crunch, and if you think there is, you've never worked a shitty job in your entire life. Like, I guarantee it.
Work in hospitality for 1 day, ladies and gentlemen. You know what it means. Hospitality.
Work retail over
Yeah.
Christmas, and I guarantee you'll find out pretty fucking quickly that non-mandatory crunch is actually very mandatory.
Yeah.
The difference is they don't tell you it's mandatory.
Yeah. It's a crap situation. It is. It's not good. It's not good at all here, ladies and gentlemen. There's no doubt about that. Even though they've sprinkled a little bit of sugar on it with that 10% extra bonus and everything like that, this still sucks. It still sucks. For me, you push it. For me, you should have pushed to March. I do see the sides where blah 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 blah, like I said at the beginning. But for me, you should have pushed this CD Project Red. You could see. The thing is, when they announced that they pushed it again to November, and it was literally just to fix the bugs. Now that the game's gone off to Sony and Microsoft to be certified and everything like that. I think for me, and especially probably for you, but the alarm bells were already ringing there a little bit. I was thinking, yeah, how buggy is this game? Because if that's very buggy, that means you're crunching like hell to get those bugs as fixed as you can. Because if you have a game-breaking bug, you can't launch at all. Because if you've got a game that breaks it, a bug that breaks it, you can't launch that game, and you know you can't, and everything. So this sucks. I hate this. I don't like this one bloody bit.
I am not a big fan of it either. Every employee. So if they made $520 million in 2020, which again is an analyst estimate, and there's 1,079 employees working at CD Projekt Red, and they give 10%. Like they give basically what they've just said. Everyone at CD Projekt Red will get $4,800, whatever that works out as in Polish currency, which is written here zloty. I think I didn't want to mispronounce it, so I just went with the with the dollar sign that was in brackets. Yeah, this is fucking bullshit. Like even sitting here, and my first thought was exactly the same as your first thought, where they were like, "We've tried everything." Like, you didn't, because you did delay the game to 2021. Like, you did. This happened with The Witcher. The Witcher 3 was due to come out in November of 2014. It had been delayed, like, twice, I think, already up until that point. Maybe even 3 times. And then eventually it got delayed to April.
May, wasn't it?
April,
Yeah.
May 2015.
Yeah, it was just before E3.
Yeah, and I was like, cool, like, that's the ideal scenario. But then I really sat down and thought about it and reading this article, and it's just like, well, that just means more crunch. Like, because they're crunching either way. Like, people have probably already been doing this for a year, right? Like, again, we both know what non-mandatory crunch means. It means, look, it means the pressure of having to stay there without them saying it's mandatory, but also that you're going to catch a lot of shit for not doing it. Like you know what I mean? Like you'll be called out for your work being subpar. People will be saying, "Well, this person's doing it, or I'm doing it. Why aren't you doing it?" You know, there's all sorts of different ways that happens. And not only do we both know that from our own personal experiences in life in general, like we've both read that in all of these stories that we've been reading since the whole thing with Dan Houser and Rockstar, which kicked all this off 2 years ago. Like, and since then, we've been reading stories like this over and over and over again. And it's not worth it. It's a video game. I can wait for my Cyberpunk video game. There are other video games coming out this winter, this holiday, this fall, this whatever you want to call it. Like we don't need people to be putting their mental and physical health at risk so that a game can come out on time.
Yep.
Like, and it's fucking stupidity that they do it. Like, and because it's CD Projekt Red, instead of being Activision Blizzard or any other company that people hate, like, and love to bag on, because it's CD Projekt Red, the champions of the gamers, like you get a lot of people out here trying to justify it. It reminds me, like, of the situation we've just been through with Hogwarts Legacy. Like, of people trying to justify their purchase of the game. Like, trying to morally justify it, trying to absolve themselves of the sin of playing and enjoying this game uncritically. Like, to not feel bad about buying this game. And it's the same with Cyberpunk, where it's like now people are trying to justify it to themselves. And it's like, you can just both be critical of CD Projekt Red's working practices and call them out and say, this is bullshit, right? And still
Mm-hmm.
play the game. Both of those things can exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you really, really, really want to take a stand and say, "Look, this," and if this is a line in the sand for you, you have to not play the game. That's how it works. It's either you either do or it's like there's no try, there's no halfway. Like, if this is a line in the sand for you, you don't play the game. It's that simple. You can, but if it makes you uncomfortable, but you still want to play the game, you just have to acknowledge that on discomfort. Am I wrong? Am I
No.
crazy?
No.
Like, acknowledge that this is hurting people is step one.
Yep. Like I said, people working their asses off to get this game out to you. They just shouldn't have to.
No, absolutely. Absolutely not. They should not have to be doing this. And the idea, like, I've seen a lot of bad takes on Twitter in the past 24
When is there not a bad take on Twitter?
about this. That's true. Okay, I've seen a lot of bad. Twitter's where I get most of my takes from. But I've seen a lot of bad takes flying around. Like, the idea that, like, this type of thing is necessary if you want to create great works. I guarantee you it's not. I guarantee you it's not. If they delayed this game for 12 months and everybody worked 9 to 5, 5 days a week, I guarantee you Cyberpunk 2077 would be a better game than the one you're going to get in November.
I agree.
Because that's not how human beings work.
Mm-hmm.
After a certain point of stress and pressure and the toll physically, emotionally, psychologically, you are not a productive member of that team anymore. And you are not doing productive work.
Exactly. I said there's scientific facts out there, ladies and gentlemen. Go and find them. It isn't that hard. There's any bit of stress in anyone's life or anything can hurt your work performance, can make you fall out of love for the work, and you just carrying on. You're just working there because it's a job. I'm bringing in some money from my family or whatever, you know. And but if you are there and you love it, then it's a whole different ball game, and you're gonna have a game that's gonna be being made with true passion. And I'm not saying the game's not getting made with true passion of this, but this bullshit is just complete bullshit. Like I say, they can delay it, and they know they can. They just don't want to because of two big shiny things that are coming out in November.
Yeah. Well, think back to The Last of Us, because we've had this discussion this year about Naughty Dog and the things that came out about Naughty Dog's working practices. How many veteran game designers left Naughty Dog and were replaced with junior or like college graduates or people who'd never worked on a video game before? The game took a long time. They took that extra time to make it while also crunching. Like, if they hadn't have crunched, if they had kept that veteran talent on, they could have got the game out faster. That was the someone said that
I think it was a Jason article.
I think it was a Jason article, but one of the
like,
people he was talking
still.
to said that exact thing. Like, think of all of the veteran talent this game industry has burned out by doing this. Like gaming could be, like we talk about this a lot with video games in general, where like a new game will come out and then there'll be some flaws with it, and then there'll be some stuff wrong with it, and then the next game will come out and they'll have the same flaws and the same issues, and that goes on in perpetuity, and we think, why is this not getting better? Like, I'm not talking about this stuff. In this regard, I'm purely talking about like gameplay mechanics and games themselves. And it's like, maybe it's because every time we finish and ship a game, we burn out so many veteran developers. They leave the games industry entirely, and gaming doesn't move forward as fast as it could have done.
Mm-hmm. They like it.
They're like, fuck this. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like,
which is crazy.
I get like crunching for a few weeks leading up to the release of a game just to make sure it's close to perfect condition as it can be. But when you're talking about endless death marches, as they've been called, constantly delaying a game, crunching for like a year, for months and years at a time, like your game's gonna be worse than it could have been. That's just a fact. In my mind, it's undisputable.
No, I agree.
And shame on CD Projekt Red for seeking Jason out last year for an interview. They went to him to request that they have an interview with him. For them to say they weren't going to do mandatory crunch. For them to a year later turn around and enforce mandatory crunch. Shame on you. And shame on the people who defend this.
Don't worry.
And shame on the people who defend this.
Yeah. It's undefendable. That's the thing about it. You're allowed to call the company out, like Gamey says. And you're allowed to still like them. It's fine.
You can call the company out and still like them. I've been talking mad shit about PlayStation for like 6 months. And I'm still getting a PlayStation 5.
She just bought
I've just pre-ordered one like a week ago. But I'm still going to call them out when they do stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like. That's what being a fan of something actually entails. Like, criticizing things that are wrong or bad and praising the things that are good. Like, we've spoken non-stop praise about Xbox for the past few months. Like, totally earned, because they've been doing a great job for the past few months, but you better believe we still criticized their May game showcase.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was subpar.
And we criticized them that they, like, when they delayed Halo, we praised them because they needed to, because the game is not ready, you need to delay it and everything like that. Yeah. But at the same time, then we were questioning
why it was shown like 3 weeks earlier with a release date.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It should never be one or the other. It should always be both. Except in the case of this next story. Report says that Warner Brothers Games president says transphobe J.K. Rowling has, quote, the right to hold her opinions, end quote. This is from Luke Plunkett over at Kotaku, who writes, and can I just say, you said this about Kotaku a couple of weeks ago. Can I just say, all the props in the world at Kotaku for just going in as hard as is necessary, where very few other gaming outlets are doing so right now.
Few, none.
Because here's the first line. Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling is a transphobe. That is not an opinion, it is fact. Maybe someone could share that distinction with Warner Brothers Games president David Haddad. As Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reports, Haddad was asked in an internal Q&A today about the widespread criticism of Rowling over her public and toxic transphobic views, which have been condemned by everyone up to and including Harry Potter stars Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. Given the fact that WB is currently working on a big new Harry Potter game, his answer may not surprise you. Quote, not a lot I can comment on, other than, since we did get so many questions, I wanted to be responsive the best way I could. The way I think I'd like to do it is, I'd like to echo something you've heard from most of our senior executive leadership. While J.K. Rowling is the creator of Harry Potter, and we are bringing that to life with the power of Portkey, in many places, she's a private citizen also. And that means she's entitled to express her personal opinion on social media. I may not agree with her, and I might not agree with her stance on a range of topics, but I can agree that she has the right to hold her opinions, end quote. Schreier adds that, quote, later in the Q&A, Haddad answered a question about diversity and inclusion by adding that WB Games is working with LGBTQ rights orgs, and that he spent an hour and a half talking with the director of transmedia representation at GLAAD. No mention of Rowling or Harry Potter there, end quote. Well then, I guess you didn't. What the fuck were you talking about then? Like, hang on a minute. Like, I have a take on this, and it's pretty much my only take. But first of all, I'm reading that last paragraph, and I'm thinking, you talked to the leader of the director of transmedia representation at GLAAD, and never mentioned Rowling or Harry Potter, despite the fact that you're the president of WB Games, about to release a Hogwarts game What the fuck were you talking about for an hour and a half? Why did you
Um,
talk? Why did you talk if you weren't going to
yeah,
talk about that?
you're talking about something, and you know they are.
Um,
Uh,
Bigotry is not an opinion. That's what I came here to say in response to what the WB Games president has said. Bigotry is not an opinion.
he just gave the typical business response. That's all he's done. Like you said at the beginning, I love the balls just for Kotaku. J.K. Rowling, she is a transform, ladies and gentlemen. It is an opinion. It is a bona fide fact. Um, yeah, it's just one of those things that sadly it's annoying, it's aggravating, it's vexing. I can only deep down what it makes you feel, Amy, for you on your personal outside or everything, but like this is just the normal bullshit response from a Warner brother, from a business exec in whatever president, CEO, whatever type of role they are, in any type of thing that they'll just give the quote unquote they say respectful response of that. We may not agree with her opinion, blah blah blah, but it's a free market. She can do whatever the hell she wants, type of thing, blah blah blah, and all like this. And it's just like,
Yeah, that's how that kind of response is how we end up with fascists in America. Sorry. That's how we end up with Donald Trump. Like
there's a lot of reason why we ended up why
it's
they ended up with him.
it's bullshit. It's nonsense. It's because again, transphobia is not an opinion. Just like sexism is not an opinion. Racism is not an opinion. Homophobia isn't an opinion. Like liking pineapple on pizza is an opinion. Like liking a certain movie or video game is an opinion. Being transphobic isn't. It's bigotry. Like and there is no room for discussion on whether that's okay or not. Like and to say like how this all makes me feel. I mean, this it doesn't really make me feel any particularly different because I'm not really thinking about the game in terms of playing it. Like it's not something I'm gonna play. Um, it's something I'd like to stop talking about for a couple of weeks, but I get why we can't. Um, and that's fine. Like I'd rather the conversation keeps going. But it's just like it's going to be interesting because I think a lot of people are going to ignore this. Um,
Well,
this
like all of the
particular
big news sites now.
news story, yeah, because the narrative that formed since the PlayStation 5 showcase, which feels like it was about 9 months ago at this point, was that it's fine because J.K. Rowling isn't directly involved with the game, so it's fine if we all enjoy this thing. But now it's like, well, hang on, you've now got the WB Games president essentially saying J.K. Rowling having these opinions is okay. So now it's directly linked to the company who's publishing the game. So is this going to if your narrative logic reason of this game being okay is J.K. Rowling isn't involved, which is also nonsense because she stands to make a lot of money and gain a lot of clout from this game coming out, then that should change your opinion about it, but it won't because people aren't trying to say it's okay to play this game. People are trying to, again, what we just talked about with Cyberpunk. People are trying to let themselves off the hook into enjoying this game because it makes them feel uncomfortable, and they want to find the moral justification to say it's okay. You with me? I mean, I've said the same thing multiple weeks in a row at this point, so at this point you get it.
But when it's the same thing, it's best to hit home the same fact, which is what you're saying. It's true.
It's like, yeah,
She says terrible things, ladies and gentlemen. She is a transphobe.
yes.
That is a fact. You can play this game. Don't worry about that. That's fine. But at the same time, the facts are the facts. She's a transphobe, and you have to acknowledge that.
She is a transphobe, and whether she directly contributed to Hogwarts Legacy or not, you are going to be supporting her by buying this game. Financially, but more importantly, by making her still be relevant. Which is what she's using to essentially metaphorically beat people like me over the head constantly. Metaphorically. I don't get sued. She's never physically assaulted me. And that's where we're at with that.
I'm sure it'll be in a couple of weeks' time where we'll be talking about this stupid thing again, and we'll say the same thing again, ladies and gentlemen. What are the facts?
What are the facts? I don't want to talk about FIFA for 2 weeks in a row. After Yakuza, Dirt 5 has now said PS4 saves can't carry over to PS5. This is from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer, who writes, earlier this week, the developer of Yakuza Like a Dragon confirmed PlayStation 4 save files can't be transferred over to the PS5 version. Now, Codemasters has said the same is true of Dirt 5, and Microsoft has noticed. Quote, currently on Xbox, all progress can be carried over between generations, Codemasters wrote. On PlayStation, your Playground's creations can be carried over, but other game progress, career, currency, saved libraries cannot. If that changes, we'll let you know, end quote. As with Yakuza, there's no explanation for why Dirt 5 saves won't work for the next-gen version, despite the game offering a free upgrade. So while you don't have to buy the game a second time, you will have to start your progress over from scratch. So what's going on here? That's in the article, I'm not asking Moody a question. The difference between Playground's data, which is stored on a server, and personal game progress may be a clue. It seems there is some kind of limitation on what PS4 data can be accessed by a PS5 version, although one Sony could work around itself to offer save transfers on Spider-Man Miles Morales. Really, only Sony can answer. Eurogamer have contacted PlayStation for comment. In the meantime, Microsoft hasn't let the opportunity slide to get in a little pop on social media. Xbox, of course, offers full save transfers between generations and has been pretty transparent about its backwards compatibility and cross-gen support. Quote, at Xbox, we put gamers first. Strong opening line. Xbox marketing boss Aaron Greenberg wrote on Twitter, retweeting a post by fellow marketing trumpet Larry Major Nelson Herb, isn't it? It's Herb, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Quote, cloud saves and 4 generations of compatibility means I pick up right where I left off in Fallout 4 from the comfort of my Xbox Series X, Herb wrote. Props to Microsoft for just pointing out the obvious, but what's going on? So the Spider-Man Remaster, you can't transfer your save files.
But haven't they come out and said they can now? I'm pretty sure Insomniac have come out and said that you can now.
Let me have a look.
Yeah, double check that for me. If that's true, if that's true, what you're checking up there, it's basically just a PlayStation thing for me.
Okay,
But,
here we go. Let's have a look. Video Game Chronicle. Because now Yakuza 5 isn't going to allow it. And Yakuza 5 is a big deal, which we'll get into when we talk about game announcements for a different reason. But you won't be able to do it with Yakuza, and now you won't be able to do it with Dirt 5. It's got something to do. I think it's got something to do with save files specifically, because I imagine Avengers is going to allow you to do it, but I imagine all of your Avengers progression is saved server side rather than console side, because it's an always online game.
Probably, yeah.
So I think it has something to do with the actual save file on the PS4.
Possibly, yeah. Like when it comes to the tech side, I won't deny that I'm not really fully sure on that. I'll hold my hand up to that. Anyone listening, ladies and gentlemen. But the only thing off the top of my head is that it does seem like Microsoft are making this, like they're coming out and they're saying this is easy peasy for our consoles and everything like that. So for me, it does seem like it's a Sony side more than anything. I don't really know at the end of the day.
James Stevenson from Insomniac replied to someone on Twitter saying, yes, your Miles PS4 save can be transferred to PS5.
Oh, okay, so it's that one then.
So I don't know whether it's Spider-Man
or
it's Miles Morales.
Yeah, it sounds like Miles Morales, because obviously we can play that on the PlayStation 4 now. When you get out, the PlayStation 5 can transfer to the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, because this all kicked off because of the Yakuza thing.
Yeah.
I'm reading an article on Metro now.
At the same time, I'm just going to say, saves aren't that big of a deal for me.
It depends. Yeah, I mean, let's imagine you're not the owner of a brand spanking new gaming PC, and did instead spend your money on a PS5, and you're gonna buy a game with a free. You're gonna buy a game for your PS4 because it's got a free upgrade path, so there's no point in waiting. But you won't be able to transfer your progress over to it. So you either so then you're in the position of, say, like playing the game when it comes out when you want to play it, or waiting to buy it on PS5, which is also going to cost you more money. Like,
I think it just ultimately all depends on just thinking like for me, Miles Morales, I'm going to be playing it on the PlayStation 4. When I do eventually get the PlayStation 5, probably in 2021, I probably won't be playing Miles Morales. Probably. I'll be very surprised if I do.
yeah,
So,
cool.
so that's saving it is that, and personally, I feel deep down in the majority of the gaming sphere, and I mean taking all gamers into contact here, not just the hardcores, but the casuals, and the casuals outnumber the hardcore, ladies and gentlemen. The, the casuals won't give a flying hoot, personally.
Yeah, but we're better looking than the casuals.
That may be true, but at the end of the day, the numbers will say otherwise to PlayStation, and PlayStation just
Yeah,
like,
like,
it's not that big of a deal.
I don't think, like, for me personally, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal for me personally because I'm getting a PS5 day one, right? But
Yeah.
like I mean, if you take Yakuza as an example, Yakuza's a long game, right, with a lot going on in it.
Yep.
And that game is coming out on PS4 in November, but it's not coming out on PS5 until March. So, in the context of that one single game, because every single game that does this is going to have its own specific argument, so I'm just going to use the argument for Yakuza, just to save time more than anything else. But the like, let's say I'm playing through Yakuza on PS4 because I can freely upgrade it to PS5, but I have to wait until March when it comes out on PS5.
Yeah.
And let's say I'm partway through the game. Like I did this last year. I played Judgment a bit in the summer, and then I picked it back up in the winter to finish it. On the same console, obviously, but with a similar situation. And it's like, I can't transfer my save file across from a PS4 to my PS5, so I either have to start again or wait 5 months to play the game. You know what I mean?
But for us, like I said, like I said, like we're the hardcores. That's the numbers.
Oh,
get
I mean, we're the
outdone by
hardcore is.
casuals.
Like, I will have finished Yakuza 7
That's what I'm
well
saying,
before
yeah.
the PS5 comes out, but normal people might not have.
But at the same time, they won't think that is a bigger deal, though.
Until they won't think until they run into the issue. I don't know why it's not so simple. Like, the architecture is the same. It's not like the PS3 to the PS4 when we were dealing with Cell. It's like the architecture is similar.
Thing. Yeah, it's a Sony thing. There's no doubt about it.
Is this Sony believing in generations again?
Quote unquote, probably. Yeah, basically, honestly, it basically is that. Obviously, there's no facts behind. We don't know the full facts behind it, so we're just paraphrasing here and throwing out guesses here to the wall. But yeah, it does just seem like it's probably more a Sony thing than anything, and like Microsoft has just come out and say, "Yo, we're good. Don't worry, guys, we got you," type of thing. So
yeah, I mean, it's an easy win for Microsoft either way because they just get to come out and go, "Well, we do that."
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we do that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Hey, forget about it. You know, like it's just easy to be breezy when you're Microsoft at the moment.
Basically, yeah. They can buy me for $7 billion if they want.
Yeah, if you want to put an offer in, for words about games, that's totally cool. Microsoft, we're available.
We can change the words about Xbox.
Hey, if you want to pay me. I'll sell out.
Sony.
I'll sell out. Okay, I'm going to ask you this right now, Mooney.
Go on.
Are any of these other news stories worth reading, or should we just skip to the game announcements?
I want to talk about the Spider-Man one.
Okay.
Just that one, and then we can skip.
Okay. The Spider-Man Remaster changes a lot, including Peter Parker's face. This is from Austin Gosling over at Polygon, who writes, on Wednesday, Sony announced new details on Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, an update of Marvel's Spider-Man for Sony's next-generation console, the PlayStation 5. The game will feature a few expected upgrades like better graphics, a higher frame rate, and a few new Spider-Man suits. It will also feature some unexpected changes, like a brand new face for Peter Parker. According to a new post on Sunday's PlayStation blog, On Sony's PlayStation blog, my apologies, Peter Parker's facial model has been changed in the remastered version of the game, from John Bubniak's face to Ben Jordan's. The blog post explains that in order to bring out the best possible visuals for the remastered version of the game, the development team needed a better match for the facial capture done by Yuri Lowenthal. Possibly by coincidence, this new Peter Parker also happens to look a bit more like MCU's Peter Tom Holland than the previous actor did. Insomniac community director James Stevenson goes into a few details about the game's new next-gen visuals. The upgrades to the remastered version of the game will include ray tracing for reflections and shadows, along with a new performance mode that will boost the game to 60 frames per second. Ooh. Ooh, imagine swinging through the game in 60. Ooh.
I saw a trailer yesterday. It looks sexy. It does look sexy.
That's tempting. So that's tempted me to upgrade to the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition. The remastered game will also come with a few new suits, including one based on Andrew Garfield's from the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Oh, that's cool.
It is a good suit as well. Can I be honest with you, though? I played that entire game in the Insomniac suit. Like, I platinumed the game and collected every single suit, but I just played through the whole game with the white spider suit.
I did. Like, when he changes it at the end, I went literally back to the main spider suit that I was wearing. I was just like, no, I don't want that one. No way. Give me the one I want.
I really liked the white spider suit. I thought it was cool. Anyway, sorry. Insomniac creative director Brian Intihar tweeted a statement about the recasting to provide fans with a few more details about the studio's decision. Quote, "Today's news about the new Peter Parker face model has surprised some of you, and we at Insomniac totally understand your reaction. Hell, it even took me a while to get used to Peter's new look. But as we discussed the franchise's future and moving to the PS5, it quickly became apparent that delivering even more believable-looking characters made finding a better facial match for actor Yuri Lowenthal, who we all love as Peter, a necessity. We care as much about this character as your attachment to him, so please know we didn't take this decision/change lightly. As we did throughout the development of Marvel's Spider-Man, we'll continue to read your comments, listen, and always be looking for ways to improve every facet of the game. And at the same time, I hope you can trust us that this decision is what we feel is best for the future of the franchise and our upcoming goals for this beloved Marvel character." End quote. What do you want to... Speak your piece, Moody. The floor is yours.
My piece on this is just like... It baffled me why this got so much traction. It really did. I'm just like, guys, you'll start the game, you'll see it, it may feel a little weird at the beginning. By an hour in max, it's gonna be all fine, and you're gonna be playing all everything's fine and everything, and you're gonna be absolutely fine. It's just the same. It's just changing an acting role. Well, basically it's kind of like just changing an acting role for a film or a TV show, but this just changed the face modeling and everything. There's nothing wrong with it. They've done nothing wrong. I understand from a point of view why they've made him younger, made him look younger anyway. And aged maybe towards more the Tom Holland part. But at the end of the day, I never saw why this was a big problem. Like, everyone was complaining like crazy, and like oh god, man, like Insomniac, they got smashed over just because they get smashed over the stupidest of things. The Puddle Gate. Oh my god.
Alright, I'll admit the Puddle Gate was hilarious.
Why one of the suits wasn't in yet in the game, and people were getting angry and telling them, why haven't you got this suit in this game yet, yada yada. Yet they were and all like that, and it's like, it was coming, it was gonna come, but because people bitched so much, they released it early and gave it people for free, which they were already gonna do, with give it for free, but they were waiting for, I think, a certain day. I think they were meant to be waiting for the first film, the anniversary for the first Sam Raimi film, I think. I can't fully remember, but yeah, they got a lot of hate for no reason at all, and I'm just like, this is not that big of a deal at all. At all. It's like, oh, a new face. Okay. It's like the guy who changed to the new quote unquote the new War Machine in Iron Man 2. You literally saw him, walks in, he says, "Yeah, I'm here. What about it?" Boom. Completely forgot about the other guy who played as a War Machine in the first Iron Man, and it was fine. It was fine. It was no problem whatsoever. Like, people think changing of an actor or changing of this or whatever is going to really hurt things. It's going to hurt nothing at all.
Sorry, I'm scrolling through
Listening
Twitter, and
or
this
reading
other
something.
Spider-Man news has come out in the last hour. Like, not about the game, about films, but like, yeah, I'm gonna jump up next Twitter. Um, like I just found myself on there, and he's tweeted one thing, which is Spider. It's a emoji, spider emoji, and then a heart, and then forever. And I was like, interesting. Like I find their reasoning to be bollocks.
The reason to come across bollocks, sorry for putting in that. I don't
No, it's
deny
fine.
that. But at the same time, it's just like,
Like, why bother?
guys,
Like, why bother going through the thing to change the face? There's no point. Like, that is Spider-Man, and John Bubniak did a fucking phenomenal job in 2018 Spider-Man. Like, he must have done, because he was crying at the end of that game. like, like he did a great job. When I first saw this, I was almost about ready to go fucking nuclear because I thought they'd recast Yuri Lowenthal, and I was about to go absolutely apeshit all over Twitter. Because as far as I'm concerned, Yuri Lowenthal delivered the best vocal performance of anyone in 2018.
he actually does the mocap as well.
Yeah, like I just don't see the point. And then to make him younger, like the whole point of Peter Parker in Marvel's Spider-Man 2018 is he's been around the block. He's been doing this for years. Like he's not Andrew. He's not Andrew Garfield. Sorry, he's not Tom Holland. Like he was just starting out and just learning the ropes. Like the whole point is that by the time you start the game, he's been doing this for like 7 years, I think it was, in the backstory. So like they've made him look younger. I mean, did we
For
have
7 years, what? When does he get? If I remember rightly, in the
It's like
game, it says
16, right?
he got 16. So 7 years. What's that? That's in
I think he's
23.
23, yeah, because I think he's
So,
23 years old in the game.
so their thing is they've made their original look too old. So they've just got a
It
younger look.
didn't, though.
That's not that big of a deal. It's
It
just not
didn't,
that big
though.
of a deal.
Like, I don't. Then why change it? Like, this is my. Like, I guess we're at the same point where it's like it's not a big deal. Like, so I'm at the
Yeah.
same point of like, well, why bother changing it? He's gonna look the same age as Miles, and it's like that's just not like gonna jive with my brain properly. Like because he's supposed to be older than Miles because that's how the story plays out. Like
I'm just
why
waiting to
did
see
they
the
change
trend.
this?
I'm waiting to see the pathetic hashtag. Not my Spider-Man.
Well,
When
you know
the-
what? You know what, Moody? He's not my Spider-Man.
He'll always be your Spider-Man. ladies and
Andrew
gentlemen.
Garfield will always be my Spider-Man. I
He was a
really
good
like those
Spider-Man.
films. I really like those films. He was a good Spider-Man. He just wasn't a great Peter Parker.
I agree with that.
And Emma Stone was perfect.
But it's Emma Stone. Of course, she's perfect.
Emma Stone's always perfect.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like I'm not gonna be like boycott Spider-Man. This is trash. This is awful. This is bullshit. 'Cause you know me, Moody. I'm not that kind of person. But I feel a bit bad for John Bubniak for starters. Like because he did a solid job for 2018 Spider-Man, and also I just don't see why they've done this. Like I don't see the point in it. Like his performance was good. Like if my review of Spider-Man was excellent game, brilliant voice acting, tremendous gameplay, great story, but the facial
Yeah.
animation for Peter Parker wasn't great, then yeah, fair enough. But that's not the case. My criticism of Spider-Man is too many Mary Jane gameplay sections. That was my entire criticism of Spider-Man. So yeah.
For me, I just think like it's like I said, I just think it's like a change in an actor role. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, but sometimes that could be piss me off as well. Like, like
Yeah, but
in the case you brought up of Iron Man and Iron Man 2, it was they didn't want to pay the original roadie actor. Like
yeah, he was demanding.
he was demanding more money, so they just replaced him. And yeah, cool. But like, if they just replaced him for no reason, like I probably would have been madder because again, he was good in Iron Man. Like he was good in Iron Man. And if it turned out that they just replaced him for no reason, like then I would have been like, well, this is fucking bullshit.
No.
And it was a lateral move. Like I'm sorry, but they both did just as good as each other as Roddy. I can never remember his full name. I know he's War Machine, but I can't remember what his full name was. Colonel Rhodes. But I don't remember
Colonel
what his
Rhodes.
first. I remember is his first name Colonel? Like,
Yeah, his first name's Colonel. That's what we call. Yeah, I think it's just because like different performance, different person comes in. I'm just like, all right, fine. As long as they do a good performance, that's all I care about.
yeah, I guess.
It's like the same thing when people
Like I said, it's not a deal breaker. I mean, anyway, but I do call a bit of bullshit on that whole. Oh, well, looking for the future of the franchise. It's like, whatever. Sure.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing for me. It's like I'm just going back to like people bitching about Robert Pattinson. I'm just like, you haven't even seen him in a role. Oh, why is Ben Affleck doing it? You haven't seen him in the role.
Because he quit. Like again, it's like I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from, but I know I know the reason behind the fact that they've cast someone new as Batman.
But I don't care about the reason. All I'm saying is that people like complaining for no reason at all. Why is this person this? Why is this that and that? I'm thinking, yo, how about you wait until you see it and see the performance, then you can see it. Until you see the game until you actually play the full on game again, which they're probably they're obviously trying to get you to do.
No, thank
can't
you.
really comment.
I've literally, like I said last week, I platinumed it. There is nothing left for me in that game.
Yet she's gonna go back for the 60 frames per second swinging through New York City.
Yes, except that'll be in Miles Morales, so I'll just do it in that. Besides, do you want my really controversial Spider-Man hot take? Miles Morales is a better character than Peter Parker. And I love Peter Parker. I'm just going to put that out there. I ain't no hater. But I like Miles better. In general. In like, comics, media. In media in general. As being a long-time comic reader.
That's the thing about it, you've got more context than I do. So.
Yeah, like, I'm not just basing it off Spider-Verse.
I have literally just Spider-Verse as context. And the little bit you have him in the Miles
in the game.
In the game,
yeah. Which, to be fair, he's excellent in Spider-Man.
Both.
And Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man film, so,
yeah. I now expect to hear that Miles Morales gets changed to the closer to the Spider-Verse look soon.
But after he's already had his own game. Yeah. Spider-Man 2.
Then they can remaster that again to come out just in time for the Marvel Spider-Man 2 game. And then people will be bitching about that.
I mean, I would. Again, though, it's like, to use your example of Robert Pattinson as Batman, and you know my feelings on Robert Pattinson as Batman are very positive. Like, it would have been like, from my perspective, for the thing that I'm trying to say, is it would have been like if Robert Pattinson had replaced Ben Affleck because they'd fired him for no reason. Is basically which is what kind of happened here. They've replaced him if they'd replaced him for no reason, like Ben Affleck didn't want to do it anymore. Cool, we need a new Batman. Well, let's get Robert Pattinson. Cool. Like, even before seeing the trailer, I was on board because Robert Pattinson's a great actor. I've seen him in a couple of good roles. But even so, I still would have been like, cool, let's see what he does with it. Like, so yeah, like, again, I'm not going to hold it against the new guy. I hold it against Insomniac for making an unnecessary change. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah. And when I say hold it against, again, I'm not going to be like, hashtag boycott Spider-Man. I'm just going to be like, this is dumb. And move on with my life.
Let's do that.
And feel bad for John. And feel bad for John Bobniak because he seems like he didn't see this coming. Yeah, he got paid. But it would have been nice to have that secure future of the 25 Marvel Spider-Man games that Insomniac are about to make. Because we all know they're going to be pulling those out for a long time. There are new game announcements this week, Moody. As always, I've broken them into reveals, release dates, delays, free stuff, and other. So the reveals are... Actually, that's a release date. I should have moved that. The reveals are... Trax Toy Box Edition is coming to Nintendo Switch this November. Teslagrad 2 was announced. That's a name I haven't thought of for a long time. And Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires is coming in early 2021 to PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Oh, That's going to be a mouthful for a couple of years, isn't it? Damn you, cross generation.
By the time we'll just be calling it the Xbox.
True. Just all three of them will just be the Xbox.
Basically, yeah.
We got some release dates, of which I'm excited for most of them, to be fair. Yakuza Like a Dragon launches on PS5 on March 2nd, 2021. It launches on every other platform it's coming out on in November, including PS4.
It launches with
the Xbox.
Yeah.
So whatever day the Xbox comes out.
The 10th of November, I believe.
Oddworld New and Tasty launches on October 27th on Switch. Torchlight 3 launches on October 13th on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion The Crown Tundra launches on October 23rd. Second Extinction.
Reggie Steels.
Second Extinction launches in early access on October 13th on PC. The Jackbox Party Pack 7 launches on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch on October 15th. And The Pathless will be a PS5 launch title, which will also be available on PS4 and PC. It's the guys who made Abzu, or the people who made Abzu.
Oh yeah, I know them.
Right, and it's like an open. I don't know if it's an open world, but it's like you're in a forest. It's very stylistically heavy art style. I've had my eye on it for a while. The Yakuza one's cool. Like interesting. Like so, you're not launching on PS5 until March, but you're launching on everything else: Xbox, 10th, PC, and PS4 on November 10th.
It's either an exclusive deal or problems for PlayStation 5 that they can't sync it properly, maybe.
I mean, no, I'd go with exclusive deal. Yakuza has been marketed by Xbox all year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Basically. Which is really strange because it only just, like, it's a PlayStation franchise and it has been the entire time it's existed, but now it's like Xbox kind of just came here and just went, do you want to put some of your Yakuza games on Game Pass? Do you want to launch your new Yakuza game on Xbox?
Here's this piece of paper with some random numbers on it.
No, don't worry about getting it translated. It's fine. It is very strange and very interesting. It's fascinating. Like, this was always the way. I know we've talked for years about Xbox maybe trying to make it big in Japan by getting like full-on exclusive games or like buying Japanese studios, but this was always the way they were gonna make headway in Japan by just locking up timed exclusives of some big Japanese games.
Basically, they've been listening to the character from Mandalorian. This is the way.
Yeah,
I have spoken.
Like they've been down the path of having exclusive Japanese games and no one played them. And they were good. Lost Odyssey was a fucking amazing game.
The thing is, it's going to be the same when it comes to when the Xbox drops in Japan, because this game's already been out in Japan for a long time anyway. So yeah, it's probably not going to be played on the Xbox in Japan anyway. So this is not like the right.
It's step one in it. Like it's the dominoes. The ever bigger dominoes. It's like the first little domino.
Yeah. Maybe they're setting up to buy them. Who knows? They've got the money.
What, Sega?
That was the rumor. Remember? They
Changed
the color of a controller to blue, and everyone was thinking, "Oh my god, it's the same color as Sonic." And
you
did an X sign who worked at Sega.
Yeah, you make the joke about maybe they're setting up to buy them, but it literally is Sega who makes and publishes like Yakuza. So
I know.
Imagine you could be right. They need something, and they need if they're gonna go for it in Japan.
They'll get Persona eventually.
Yeah, well they would, in Game Pass.
Yeah.
From Software. Can you imagine if they bought From Software? That would be amazing. Anyway, we've got some free games. Piku Niku is the free game on the Epic Games Store this week until October 8th. Vampire and Need for Speed Payback are October's PS Plus games. October's games with Xbox Games with Gold. On October 1st, you get Slay Away Camp and Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. And then on October 16th, you get Maid of Scare and Costume Quest. We've also got some of October's Game Pass editions. On October 1st, you get Doom Eternal on console. First of many
So,
Bethesda published games, I imagine.
so today or while we're recording?
Today, while we're recording. You also get Drake Hollow on PC. That one's already available on console. I should know, I played it. On October 8th, you're going to get Brutal Legend on console. You're going to get Eichenfell on PC and console. That game's launching on October 8th, so it's launching it in Game Pass. And you're also going to get Forza Motorsport 7 on PC, console, and Android. Did not know that game wasn't already in Game Pass.
Yeah, they don't have all the Forzas in there, I don't believe. Isn't one of the Horizons missing in it?
I think they delisted Horizon 2. I don't think it's that it's necessarily missing from Game Pass. I'm pretty sure they delisted one of the older Forza Horizon games altogether.
No, but they've got 3 and 4.
Here it
got the
is.
Australia edition and the British edition one.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 3 has been removed from sale. So it's Forza Horizon 2, Forza Motorsport 6. So if you own them, you can download them, but you cannot buy them anymore. Because licensing. It's going to be because of licensing, because of all the cars and music and everything that's in that game needs to be licensed. So I imagine they have to start. It's either pay to keep renewing the licenses, even though they've got newer versions of the games out, or just delist them from the store. I think it's probably easier just to delist them from the store.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no big deal if because you can still download it if you already own it. So, well, Forza Motorsport 7 is the newest Forza Motorsport, right?
Yeah, but that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, but
it came out.
That'll be the current one until the 8th one comes out.
So
It was weird that it wasn't in Game Pass.
Yeah, but like I say, it's still baffling to me now that like Horizon 3 and Horizon 4 are in Game Pass.
4 is.
Is it?
Yeah, 4 is, yeah.
Oh, well, it baffles me that 3 isn't.
You can't buy Forza Horizon 3 anymore.
We don't have to worry about it if it's in Game Pass.
No, what I'm saying is they can't basically let new customers get a hold of it, because if they did, they'd have to pay the licenses for all of the cars again. So like the licenses are probably on like a yearly deal.
I understand.
Yeah, it's like when you're watching a TV show on Netflix and one of the songs is different from when they broadcast it because they didn't have the license for the original song.
So now that makes sense of why
it's not
we have it.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense now why we have Xbox haven't thrown out a Forza game for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the next one, which obviously is Motorsport 8, I think, or no, they just named it Forza Motorsport, didn't they?
I think it's just going to be Forza Motorsport, yeah.
Which is good. Which is screaming across like probably a clears a service type game like Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, it makes sense for them to have like a Forza Motorsport be a live service game.
Yeah. So basically, then
to hold it until the next generation was out.
Yeah. So they've done a massive negotiation to all the car sales to negotiate a license for how many years, I'm guessing.
Probably.
And then they'll re-up it, or they'll get a new game
or
whatever.
New game, or they'll get rid of those cars and license different ones.
So they basically just made themselves a little bit more efficient when it comes to their Forza games.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah, theoretically, yeah. Okay. That explains it now in my head now. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. Happy to help. Also, Surgeon Simulator 2 is currently free to NHS workers.
Sweet.
That's nice.
They could still use extra pay. But...
I mean, 100%. Like, pay them. Pay them. It's not rocket science.
Sadly, it is.
But yeah, a company getting them a free game is nice. Yeah, unfortunately, it's difficult for our government to wrap their head around paying people for their work. In the other category, we've got some special sales are being sold in Sea of Thieves, with the proceeds going to Stand Up to Cancer. They look good as well. They're good sales. If you're a Sea of Thieves player, I think they're £4.99 to buy.
Are we going back, Amy? Are we going to give it a go?
Probably.
I think we need to. But
what do you mean?
Are we doing it on? Are we doing it on PC? Are we doing it on Xbox?
It's crossplay. What do you mean, are we going back, Moody? I've been playing this game on and off for 2 years.
Yes, but I'll come back with you.
I never lost the faith. As you
I
well
lost
know,
the
you've
faith.
been playing Fantasy Game Critic with me.
I lost the faith for that game before the bugger came out. So
No, I play it.
I
It's
ha- I
crossplay though, so I play it
yeah.
with Kirsty, twitch.tv/TinyShot plays, and she plays everything on PC. So I know for a fact it's crossplay.
Very nice.
EA Play launches in Game Pass Ultimate on November 10th.
That's thought it would.
Again,
I thought it would launch with the
yeah,
with
it's
the
launching with the
console,
new
so.
consoles.
But it's just as fantastic because obviously my Ultimate is still there, so that means EA Play because it's going to be on for the PC as well. So the games I
Yes.
have is going to get bigger on my PC part, which is going to be fantastic. Right now I got Mass Effect 2 for 3 years ago. So I'm going to have Mass Effect 1 and 3 come and join me there, and I'm going to be like, trilogy time!
Trilogy time!
and then the remaster will come out next year, and I'm going to be like,
Trilogy time!
Yeah. I'm going to be like,
Netflix also announced Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, a CG animated series starring Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield.
I thought this was fake when I saw this drop.
No,
I was like, wait, is this fake?
They've been
It
making
looks fake.
CG movies like the entire time, like with usually with Leon and Claire. I've seen one of them; it wasn't very good. But
No, I mean, I know, I've seen some of the CG movies, and when I first saw this announced, I was literally thinking, why does this look fake? This doesn't sound right, and I had to make sure. But then I saw from a legitimate site that
yeah.
I trust very much. And I was thinking, I was like that. I was like, okay, it looks terrible, whatever.
Yep, looks absolutely awful. But so does the live action Netflix TV series. So what are you gonna do?
Wait, is there a trailer for that?
No, but they released a
sorry,
story
man.
description for it, and it's just like pass.
But until we see it,
I'm gonna no. Like you've got to admit, you've got to think, Mooney, after those fucking atrociously god awful Resident Evil movies that were made by the same production company that's making the Netflix live action series. Why would I give them the benefit of the doubt?
I have no argument though. The
You
only
know,
thing I would say is that Paul W.S. Anderson isn't part of it, but
I mean,
like,
yeah,
okay.
cool. Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
The worst
But no,
director in the world with the
like
worst actress in the world with his wife. She
she was
beautiful,
alright
but
in Fifth Element.
Fifth Element, yeah. Because all they got her to do was kick ass.
Multipass?
They used her in her right element.
Yeah, like Keanu Reeves. Like Keanu Reeves is extremely talented in very specific types of roles.
Yeah.
Like John Wick and The Matrix and Bill and Ted.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a content drop.
Yes, we have.
Week. 2 articles in the content drop. The first one is a Eurogamer article called "We Need to Talk About the Cost of Next-Gen Video Games," and it's a long essay about the cost of next-gen video games, which, wow, you've gone very dark all of a sudden.
I've just opened up a tab, that's all. I can do that now.
You can do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the cost of next-gen games in the UK, so it's focused on the UK instead of talking about the price rise in the US. Because the price rise in the UK, as it goes into in the article, is as it's gone up higher. Like it's gone up by more than it has in the US, and also the exchange rate of it's $70 and £70, and £70 is £55, and that's what video games cost this generation. So we're paying more than they pay in America, and it's a whole thing. Go read the article. And you might understand where me and Rudy are coming from when we kind of look at the £70 thing and go, oh no, that feels like too much money. The second article, Halo 3 fans spent 13 years trying to break into a skybox. I'm just going to let this one speak for itself. You should click it. It's interesting. And I'd hope the title of it intrigues you, if nothing else. Now, I want to move on to games out this week, but I also need to pee. So we're going to do something. I'm going to do something unprecedented in Words About Games history. Now that Moody has 2 monitors with 2 tabs open, I'm going to ask him to start reading the games out this week while I go pee.
Oh, I'm trying to read something.
Excuse me.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's see how we go here. I'm going to take over this joint. Aviva Revolution. Games out this week, ladies and gentlemen. October 5th, Foregone coming to PC, PlayStation 4, the Xbone, and the Nintendo Switch. Foregone is a fast and fluid 2D action platformer packed with legendary loot and stunning pixel art. Collect an arsenal of powerful weapons and unravel a compelling story of regret and conspiracy as you slice your way through hordes and hordes of enemies to save Callaghan. I think I said that right. October 6th, ladies and gentlemen, Baldur's Gate 3 early access to PC and Stadia. Gather your party and return to the Forgotten Realms in a tale of friendship and betrayal, sacrifice and survival, and the lure of absolute power. The Solitaire Conspiracy, I think. We need your help, apparently. Spy Master, join a world of near future spies and take on a super villain in this supercharged take on a classic solitaire. Persecutor engineered for a replayable espionage action. I don't know if that sounds interesting to you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know. There's nothing coming out October 7th. Like, no one cares about October 7th. October 7th sucks. But it's time for October 8th. Ride 4. PC, PlayStation 4, and the Xbone. Are you ready to live the best gaming experience that a motorcycle fan can get? Ride 4 will spark your competitive soul with hundreds of bikes, dozens of tracks, and a whole new level of realism. That's what I said up. I am dead. Not this is the game, not me. PC and Nintendo Switch. I'm guessing that's what the NS means. I Am Dead is a charming puzzle adventure game from the creators of Ho Ho Come, I think, and Wiltmord's Warehouse, I think, about exploring the afterlife. It says the title's I Am Dead, ladies and gentlemen. It tells you everything in its title. It can fell, I think. PC, PlayStation 4, the Xbone, and the NS. A turn-based tactical RPG about a group of troublesome magical students. Sounds like Harry Potter. Use timing use timing mechanics to power your spells and block attacks. Explore the twisted halls of a vast magical school. Definitely sounds like Harry Potter.
Shut up, man. I'm actually excited about this game. Stop it.
sorry. Fighting challenging monsters and bosses that overcome dark secrets never meant to be found. I'm not going to say what
it's Harry Potter, but less racist.
Or less transphobic.
Yeah, with a less transphobic creator.
And the final day, ladies and gentlemen, October 9th, FIFA 21, PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox, and the NS. Football is back, apparently, with EA Sports FIFA 21, featuring more ways to team up on the streets or in the stadium and to enjoy even bigger victories with friends. I can't say anything else after that. The uncertainty, the light at the end. PC, it says. The Uncertainty is a story-driven adventure game set in a post-apocalyptic world. Humanity disappeared from the face of the earth and has been replaced by robots. Together with Emily, one of those survivors, you will have to witness how people try to live in a world ruled by robots. Just watch Terminator, you'll know how. The Survivalist, PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox, and NS. A living world full of surprises, secrets, and danger awaits in The Survivalists. An adventure-filled survival sandbox set in the escapist universe. Explore, build, craft, and even train monkeys with up to 3 friends in a desperate bid to survive. Have you got what it takes to be a survivalist? Sounds like the MCU.
I mean, apart from the fact that you were very down on a lot of those games, yeah, that was pretty cool. Maybe we'll make that a permanent feature.
Oh no,
you've got the voice for it. You've got the proper like podcasty voice. And you know what I mean? And I don't know. I was good.
Well, thank you. I do try.
Maybe I'll make that my scheduled podcast pee break. Because
Okay, now we're at the part.
2 years of taking hormones have made my bladder shrink to about this big.
Yeah, holding the bladder is not good. I won't lie there.
Should we play OpenCritic head to head?
Why not? OpenCritic head to head.
This is the game myself and Moody play every single goddamn week. I don't know why I went in that intense. We play this game every week where we try to guess the OpenCritic's average of one upcoming game. Whoever gets closest gets 1 point. If you manage to get the score completely correct, you get 2 points. If it's in between the two guesses, it's a draw.
Just check the score's still the same.
Yeah. Last week we tried to guess the OpenCritic average of Star Wars Squad. Well, actually, I say last week. On Monday we tried to guess the OpenCritic average of Star Wars Squadrons. I guessed it would get a 78. Moody guessed it would get an 82. And the OpenCritic average at the time of recording for Star Wars Squadrons is an 80, which means it's a draw. We haven't had one of those for a long time, to be fair. Like a good few months we haven't had a draw. So we can't be too mad. Because there's been plenty of opportunities for draws.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's just the thing is with the new schedule for us, we're basically releasing when reviews basically going to come out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
like the Marvel's Avengers week would have been the same because I went fucking nuts with the dice and
yeah.
But it would have been a completely different average.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I would have got the points for The Last of Us.
You would have. Well, the scores would have been very different because I think there's been a couple. I think it probably would have been about the same, but some of the games would have probably switched positions.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because the only reason you got 2 points last week was because the score for Serious Sam 4 changed on the Sunday. So I think I would have actually gotten the point for that. So it probably, I say, it would have rearranged all of the games, but I imagine the scores probably wouldn't be that different. But that does leave the score at Amy 17, Moody 17, with 3 draws. I guess closest so far this year on Dreams, Warcraft 3, One Punch Man, Half-Life Alyx, Resident Evil 3, Gears Tactics, Legends of Runeterra, Deep Rock Galactic, Maneater, Xenoblade Chronicles, West of Dead, Ghost of Tsushima, Other Side, Surgeon Simulator 2, and Super Mario 3D All-Stars. He also guessed the score correctly for Carrion. Moody's guessed so far correctly, or so far closest this year, on Zombie Army 4, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, XCOM, Chimera Squad, Command & Conquer Remastered, Iron Man VR, Deadly Premonition 2, Fall Guys, Total War Troy, Flight Simulator, Avengers, and Necromunda. He's also guessed the score correctly for 2 games, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and Serious Sam 4. The 3 draws that we've had so far this year for The Last of Us Part 2, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Star Wars Squadrons. This week, we're guessing the OpenCritic average for FIFA 21.
Out of all the bloody games you picked, I did not expect this one. Good God. If it was the audience score, I think we all would win this.
3.
Something like that, yeah. But when it comes to critics, the critics do come across. It's all subjective and everything like that. But they do come across a little bit more lenient than they seem than what the audience seems like they should be and everything like that. But
this is the thing. I think the thing with critics, quote unquote critics, because I'm kind of one of them, is I think people expect critics to be harsher on things than they are, when actually the opposite is generally true, is that critics generally tend to be more even-handed, than customers. I guess we'll go with customers as the word.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. So, even though we've heard that this game apparently is not in a great state whatsoever. This could go either way, man. It really could.
I just love the fact that the developer is in Canada. The developer of a football game is Canada. I find that tickles me every year. Sorry. What's your guess?
Yeah.
So what I guessed last week for Star Wars. it's funny because I'm gonna guess it's gonna get an 82.
That's big.
So it's the exact situation as last week, but reversed. I'm gonna guess it's gonna get an 82 movie. You're gonna guess it's gonna get a 78. We'll see where we stand next Thursday night when we record the podcast. You'll see where we stand next Friday, because again, this is a podcast that comes out on Fridays. And I said to Moody when we sat down to record this feels weird. Still feels weird.
Yeah, it still does feel weird, but
I imagine we'll get used to it in no time.
oh hell yeah, hell yeah.
I'll probably cut that part out, the explanation part, into its own video, and just like have it up on the channel alongside this podcast. So it's like 15-20 minute explanation of what's going on. Because we were like, the original plan was we'll sit down and we'll record that part as its own thing and be like, we're explaining the changes, and we'll put that out on Friday. And then we'll go into the new thing on Monday. But then we were talking about it yesterday, and I was like, why don't we do just a podcast? Because otherwise it's going to be like nearly 2 weeks between podcast episodes, and that's a lot of news. It could potentially be a 3-hour podcast, given the way the week was going with Cyberpunk and devs and J.K. Rowling and Spider-Man faces and whatnot. God knows what next week's gonna have. But yeah, are we doing a post-show discussion?
Anything that you need to talk about? You want to talk about? I'm trying to think.
Not especially. Like, I would have probably talked about Wasteland, but now I have a whole podcast to talk about games on. And apart from like making the changes and stuff, it's like, and again, just emphasizing that this is going to be great for the content and my mental health, so it's a win-win. And my sleep schedule.
Yeah, that's true. Mental health is a very important thing. Like, say, if we're both in a good, happy, good day, that's the good thing about it. I think I'll leave off with these words that I started off this morning with. Days are expensive, ladies and gentlemen. When you spend a day, you have one less day to spend. So make sure you spend each one wisely. And that's basically a good little formula I think I'm going to live with for a long, long time now. Like, say, it's think positivity. If anything's bugging you or making you feel down, get rid of it out of your life for a while. Take your time, take a break. You're allowed to do that. You're not going to hurt anyone or anything like that. You take your time, breathe in the air, respect what it does, and all like that thing. You know, just do the good things, do right things for yourself. It's time to take care of yourselves. A lot of people don't do that. Like, I haven't took care of myself properly. Like, I'm always trying to help out other people in the best way I can, and I think I've neglected myself. So I need to now balance it out, and like balancing it out with my life with things I'm really enjoying doing, like my own podcast, working with you, and doing my college work. So
I'm glad I made the cut there. I was like, oh, he's quitting. Shit, not again.
We knew it was gonna end eventually.
No.
Not
Foxes, foxes.
Not like this.
Yeah. That was a good word to end on. Yours, not mine. So that's going to do it for episode 226 of the Words About Gamescast. You can get this podcast every single Friday, currently just on YouTube, but I'm working on the rest of it. And I am actually working on the rest of it now, so that's cool. You can get our games review show, which will have a name, every single Monday, starting this Monday, and hopefully on YouTube and podcast services of your choice. Yeah. Fingers crossed. That's going to do it. It's a bit of a shorter episode. We could pad it out with a post show, but it's 2 episodes in a week. It's the only time you're going to get this, so we're going to just bounce.
No point in forcing it.
There's no point in forcing it. So thank you very much. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely week. Weekend. I wanted to say weekend, and I just didn't say end. Maybe podcasting isn't for me.
Have a glorious weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.